I'm Mike McCoppers.
I'm Pippa Littleton.
And I'm Samantha Days. Good evening, and tonight on Nursing News we're covering a breaking story on the impact that age is having on the therapeutic relationship between the nurse and patients.
Today we'll be focusing on the impact age has on the nurse-patient relationship within an aged care facility. As the world's population of older people increases, nurses will continue to be primarily caring for older people in hospitals, aged care facilities and out in the community.
With this in mind, nurses need to be able to develop constructive therapeutic relationships between themselves and the healthcare consumer. Tonight we'll be covering the impact of age on therapeutic nurse-patient relationships from both the patient and the nurse's perception, and how we can promote intergenerational relationships and communication.
Now we cross live to Hilary Larry down at the Wood Retirement Village. Hilary, are you there?
Thanks, Samantha. In aged care facility, more often than not, we see a huge age difference between nurses and the residents or patients. It is in these places where ageism is still present to this day and produces a detrimental effect on developing a therapeutic relationship between the nurse and patient. Ageism is a term defined by Butler in 1987, which refers to the stereotyping of ageism and people on the bias of age. It is also a negative and prejudiced description of older people who have been categorized because they are old. It is a type of discrimination similar to sexism and racism. The term ageism was first used by Robert N. Butler to describe the discrimination of older adults. Today, the term is often used and applied to any type of age-based discrimination where it involves prejudice against children, teenagers, adults and senior citizens. This can impact on many aspects of one's life, including someone's confidence and quality of life. So it is easily to see how it can affect trying to develop a relationship with patients. So why do some people hold up this barrier? Hold up. Jeff. Okay. Jeff's coming through live right now with an answer for us from the beach. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks, Hilary. Both the younger and older generation subconsciously communicate with the opposite generation in ways that enhance their own self-esteem and sense of power. A younger nurse caring for an elderly patient may use their youth as a power-driven advantage over the sick and frail patient. The nurse may not even realise they are portraying a negative attitude, but is easily noticed by the elderly patient. This leaves the patient feeling disrespected, that their needs are not valued, and feeling embarrassed. It is not uncommon for nurses in aged care facilities to portray this attitude, and it is a major barrier in the development of a therapeutic nurse-patient relationship. Whether you are young, or you are old, or somewhere in between, age brings stereotypes. We will now be crossing back to the studio to talk about the patient's perception on the age-related issues, the stereotypes, and what they think is impeding the nurse-patient relationship. Back to you, studio.
Thanks for that, Jeff. The older generation are often stereotyped to have ill health, physically and mentally impaired. If nurses hold these views, it could have a detrimental effect on not only the nurse-patient relationship, but also the care the nurse provides. What we're about to show you is a negative dramatisation of ageism and the view of a patient that thinks all younger nurses are inexperienced and are not up to the job because of their age, and how this can affect the relationship the nurse is trying to create.
Hi, I'm Nurse Jackie. I'm going to be looking after you today.
I'm Nurse Jackie and I'm going to be looking after you today.
You look young to be a nurse.
I'm not young. I've been a nurse for years.
Although this is a dramatisation, It is not uncommon in practice for an older patient to think a younger nurse is inexperienced because of their age. This can have a negative effect on the therapeutic relationship and cause the patient to distrust the nurse. If the patient has no trust in the nurse, it is very unlikely a therapeutic relationship can be built. We now switch to the view from the nurse in this situation. Again, we will be showing a very negative stereotypical dramatisation.
Hi, I'm Nurse Jackie. I'm going to be taking care of you today. Can I take your pulse if you've got one? Okay, I'm just going to check my other patients.
What we just showed you is how a nurse's negative attitude towards older people can be stereotypical. This can be seen in the way that older people are disregarded, ignored, or how their care is delayed or held at a lower priority. It can also be portrayed when the elderly are treated as fragile, with the nurse attending to their every need, thus endangering their independence. A nurse treating an elderly patient in this way will change the position of power in the relationship, when in turn the nurse should be there to help the patient on equal ground. We now cross over to Judy Daly, outside the Nelson Hospital, who will be covering other age-related aspects inhibiting the nurse-patient relationship. Are you there, Judy?
Thanks, guys. As we all know, communication is a vital component of developing any type of relationship, whether this be verbally, physically, or from other means. The lack of communication between generations is becoming increasingly devastating, prompting extensive research being carried out on the relationship culture and intergenerational New Zealand. Nurses in particular are trying to create intergenerational bonds with the elderly, and sometimes communication can be difficult due to a variety of complications. Common challenges are the patient's ability to hear, understand and see. These issues can create negativity when attempting to communicate with an older person. A lot of the time nurses can adopt a patronising approach by depicting a loud voice and speaking in a childish way. Younger nurses in general have been found to be worse at harbouring a negative attitude towards the elderly because of a lack of experience and exposure to older people. They often don't realise they have these feelings or that they are impacted on their nursing practice and their nurse-patient relationships in specific. We can change these opinions and attitudes by becoming more aware of our actions around the aged community. We will now cross to Hilary Larry, who will show us how nurses can adopt a new way of thinking that will positively affect their attitude and in turn their relationships with the elderly patient.
Thanks, Judy. To promote the development of therapeutic relationships between a nurse and elderly patient, a new way of thinking needs to be adopted. It needs to be taken into account that the elderly are not ill of health, and once that we're not always like that. To realise that they too were people of our age earlier in their lives, and we will ourselves grow to be in their position. To take into account that they are still all individuals, so treat them in that way. And the care that is provided in the way therapeutic relationship is established. That even though the elderly patient may have preconceived ideas about the young nurse's ability, that is still the nurse's responsibility to understand that their concerns and do their best to build trust and form the best relationship they can with their patient. We'll now cross live to our other field presenter to talk to us about how we can promote intergenerational communication and relationships between the nurse and the patient.
Thanks, Hilary. Since the responsibility of the relationship falls on the nurse, it is important that all nurses and nursing students are educated on different strategies and skills to help build these relationships with an age gap. One of our most important things in creating an effective therapeutic intergenerational relationship with an elderly patient is to hold that patient to the same standard as any other. By realising that both generations can contribute experience and wisdom on different subjects, so as a nurse taking time to listen to your elderly patient is not only showing them respect to help build the foundations of an effective therapeutic relationship, but is also helping to gain respect from the elderly patient.
As younger nurses, we have a lot to learn from this generation, from helping to see our own future and learning ways to enjoy the years that lie ahead. Elderly patients have said that they enjoy a younger person's energy, sense of adventure and greater willingness to try new things. We will now cross back to the studio, who will demonstrate the 4 qualities we can develop to ensure the development of an effective therapeutic relationship with the elderly.
We've condensed our findings to 4 major qualities that are important in developing an intergenerational relationship, being effective communication, trust, respect and caring, and a healing environment.
This first clip shows how easy we can change the way we communicate with the older generation to then enhance the nurse-patient relationship. Here we show a good and bad example of the nurse-patient relationship.
Dorothy! It's dinner time? You've got to come eat your dinner.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can hear you just fine, thank you.
Dorothy, would you like to come have some dinner?
Oh, that would be lovely, thank you.
Okay, do you need a hand up or anything?
Oh, I'll be fine, thanks.
Okay,
So
we'll
you
see you
in a
there.
minute.
This next clip shows how we can develop a level of trust with our patients. As is before, we will be showing a comparison of a good and bad example.
You right?
Yes, I'd like a hand to the bathroom. Please.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, come on. Oh, phone call. Hold on. Hold on. Hello? Hello? Dorothy! What are you doing on the floor? You cold?
Yeah, can I have a hand to the bathroom?
Oh, yes, Dorothy. That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah? Got that?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
And next we'll be covering the respect, good and the bad.
Dorothy! Dorothy, what are you doing? You know you can't go to the bathroom on your own. You're too old. You're going to need a hand. You need a hand. You need a wipe down there? Have you done anything?
No, thank you.
Oh,
I'm fine.
no. Dorothy,
Yes.
are you okay in there?
Oh, could you give me a hand out, love?
Yes, yeah. Give you a quick hand up.
Yes, please.
There you
That'd be
go.
great. Thank you so much.
No worries.
And finally, a healing and caring environment.
Nurse. Oh, I'm really uncomfortable. It would be okay if you put my bed down?
Well, actually I'm on a lunch break, so later, okay?
You look really uncomfortable there.
I am.
Would you like me to move that bed
Please.
for you? If we can bridge the generational gap in their circumstances and in society, and nurture what the older generation can bring to intergenerational connections, then we can achieve a better community with a better quality of life for all ages.
It's up to you now, nursing students. I'm Mike McCoppets. Stay classy. Good night.
Good night. Good night.